this, with the 4896 schedule, let's say we are short, there's ways to work around where we don't work 72s. But we can have a certain shift cover the first day off, the first cover, you know, so you have either 24 or 48 hours off between your overtime, and you're still having 3 days off before your normal shift. I mean, there's ways to cover it, and we still get rest at home.
But I'm supportive of it, and I was first responders. But you said a 6-month trial. I'm thinking about the budget that we already have set
Right.
for 2026.
Right.
If you're going to start this 6 months early, then we're talking about $10,000. Then my question is, city manager and finances, do we have the money in the budget to proceed early?
We can handle it. We looked at that to start with when they first came to us with it.
My question would be, he looked at it, he didn't come here with hard numbers.
No, he didn't. And
That's why I say I'm not a finance guru, I'm a firefighter. But that would be something for, I guess, the finance director and powers that be to make sure, look into, because they understand how the timesheets work, stuff like that. I mean, we have stuff mocked up from our timesheets that show the numbers, but again, we're just going based off what we know. Everybody gets paid differently. You got the low firefighter all the way up to the assistant chief. So to narrow that down, it all depends on if they're on overtime, what their rank is, what their hourly pay is, things like that. You can go off the base numbers, you can go off our base hourly, and just do it on that, or you can go off the highest hourly for the shift staff. It all depends on what the professional wants to do.
I understand where you're trying to go with this right here. You're saying Tammy could run the numbers and give us the numbers, give us solid numbers rather than hypothetically of what we have here.
Right.
well, we can run the numbers based on exactly what they're saying. I've looked at it where this will save forced overtime, so that's another part that we need to have, where we show forced overtime that we pay more in the end. So budgeting, we can handle the budget that we have now, but that budget also takes in consideration a lot of the forced overtime that we already incurred. So I really feel like it'll be a wash looking at it because there'll be less forced overtime. There's guaranteed overtime in any fire department, but looking at the attitude of the personnel plus the forced overtime, you're better off. And in the end, too, the retention is a big deal, but we do have the budget to run it. And if you need me and Tammy to put the numbers together, we can.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be something very important. It's not that I'm against it, it's just that being, we are fiduciaries of the city and how we spend our money. And when you want something so important and you don't come with hard numbers, you know, it gives me pause, it gives me reason to say, hey, come back with the real numbers. And, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
I understand about all what you're trying to accomplish, but then there's another part to it as well. It's when we're trying to conduct business.
Which I think the best thing for us before we move forward is to get together the union council and Mr. Larry and do a workshop that allows us to see the hard numbers, allows us to see everything. None of us want to rush into this on our side. March 1st would have been great. We were under the assumption ADP was going to come in March 1st, all that. But we're trying to stay in line to kind of help out how things are going. We don't want to throw a wrench in the gears when ADP goes online, if that's what we're going to do. And we're on a 24/48 ADP, and then we got to contact them and change everything around. We're trying to just be harmonious with everything you guys are doing. So if the council would like to do a workshop with us or something like that, we can get the numbers ironed out and make sure that it is advantageous for the city. I mean, we want nothing more than for the city to come out on top of this because obviously it benefits the citizens and stuff like that. So that's up to you guys. We're not rushing it again. We would love to be doing it tomorrow. We'd love that, but we're not saying we got to have this now. You know, let's work on it and see where we can come together mutually, and if we can, we can get started on it now.
And the county's already doing that. I spoke to Mr. Miller, that's doing it. you said they were all very happy with it.
Very, very much so. It's a very popular schedule in Florida. It started in California 25 years ago, but you go west Florida, everybody's on it. You go south Florida enough, everybody's on it, with the exception of a few that are 24/7 too. But when you have the job we have, you have a chance you may not go home to your family. It's nice to spend more time with them. I experienced both sides of this. My dad did 30 years with the City of Winter Gardens in Florida. So there was a lot of missed memories with him because he was on shift. So I knew what it was getting into this, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying pity me, poor Bill, but to have an opportunity to change that to where my 3 kids get to see me more, hopefully I have a long career. God forbid something ever happens to me, at least they have a little bit more memory with me. You know what I mean? So.
Anybody have further questions or comments from the strangers?
My recommendation would be that if we move forward, that we retain Robert Larkin. He has handled our collective bargaining and union negotiations in the past. I spoke with Mr. Gill. He does a very good job. He's very efficient. I actually spoke to him. He is very familiar with pros, cons of all the different schedules. And I think that if he was retained, number one, we would make sure we would have the labor part of it handled with someone who specializes in that area. But more importantly, probably for a workshop setting, he could come and present what would be required to modify the contract and make sure it's done right in the collective bargaining process. But Mr. Gill indicated in the past he's been very efficient, and again, I didn't pick the phone up, call him, he was willing to assist us, so that would be my recommendation.
Let me ask the question, who would incur the cost for the attorney to do a workshop?
The city.
The city will? Okay. And we have no idea how much that might be.
I can contact him and get a perspective from him as to what his rates are.
Okay.
But I would feel more comfortable because he is specialized in these union type contracts to make sure the paperwork is done correctly and that it is consistent with the remaining parts of our collective bargaining agreement that we have now.
But I would love if we could do a workshop and do it quickly as possible. And so firefighters can do what they do best, protect us.
Mayor?
Seems like a good idea to me. And you're looking out for the resources that we have, these men and women. If it's going to make their lives better, they're going to perform better, they're going to give us better service. And I, in fact, believe it's going to reduce the budget as far as that part is concerned.
Make happier families.
That's right.
So I just want to go on record as saying that I too would support this wholeheartedly. I think the workshop is definitely warranted and probably needed at this point. But my main concern would be probably the biggest plus of it is the retention of the ladies and gentlemen we currently have. And then, recruitment is always good as well, fill that opening. But I'd love to take care of the people that are there and serving. So, what will be the pleasure of the council then? We need a motion probably to set up a workshop.
Set up.
The way it's worded, yeah, we need
I'd request a motion to establish a workshop with any authority to contact Mr. Larkin again and get his perspectives on his assistance.
I think that, too, without getting the cart before the horse, we want to put priority on getting him here, and a great time would probably be before the CRA meeting we have coming up, just in, 2 weeks? So we can get him here that quickly, and it works for you guys, then we can get it
this week.
ironed out. All right?
So we will contact, the city manager will contact fire person.
We got to have a motion in a second.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion that we give the city attorney the board head to check with Mr. Larkin about his availability, about his rights and availability, and that we do a workshop for this union contract.
Second?
All right, motion second, further discussion or comments or concern? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
That's my number B, Tom,
Yeah, number B and C are interrelated. We had RFPs for the CDBG grant administration process. Subsequently, we then had a protest filed as to each bid. For the record, they were RFP 16-2025 and RFP 04-2025. One of the concerns of the protesters was that it appeared from the tabulation sheets that they did not follow the criteria that was contained within the RFP for the evaluation. And in order to be fair and transparent, it would be my recommendation that we send those RFPs out again and make sure with staff that when they are scored, that they're done consistent with the RFP as far as categories.
Yeah, I have a question for
Sure.
question about RFP. Did we write this RFP directly for our city or get into us directly, or did we just take one that was already completed and just put it on?
Well, what we would do is just rebid to make sure that our criteria needs to be the same. And then importantly, when we get to the scoring process, it doesn't seem feasible at this point to rescore them because Mr. Lee is no longer an employee. He was on the score and make the claim to the scoring committee as to the specific criteria that were contained within the RFP.
Right, I understand that about that we would just do it, but before we would send it out, will we rewrite the RFP pertaining for the city of Blytheville, specifically for our city?
Well, the one we have is specifically for our city for the two different grant administrations. There's one that's a housing rehab, and it was bid separately from the infrastructure rehab, and so both of those were scored by the same three people. The RFP had the same three criteria, but the score sheet doesn't seem to match the specific criteria, at least in one of the categories on the RFP.
I understand that part, but yes, I'll agree with you about sending them out, and I'll get to the administration about how the RFP was written.
Yeah, I was going to work with Ms. Tankley and Mr. Sessions. We'll try to get those out ASAP, if that's the pleasure of the council.
So we'll handle item B first. What will be the pleasure of the council?
Motion to resubmit the RFP.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, so motion passes, resubmission of RFP 04-2025. Moving on to item C.
Same analysis, they mirrored each other because, again, they were essentially the same duties, but were required under the CDBG requirements that they have different, try to procure different administrators. They could both be the same ultimately, but they have to be done separately. So it's the same analysis, same score sheet, same criteria in the RFP. I broke them all down with some.
All right, the pleasure of the council for RFP 16-2025.
I make a motion that we resubmit our P 16-2025.
Motion and second. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, motion is approved to resubmit RFP 16-2025. Mr. Sessions, item D.
On item D, we're going to discuss resolution 2026-05.
Resolution 2026-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Blytheville, Florida, authorizing the execution of a federally funded community development block grant disaster recovery, CDBG-DR. Rebuild Florida Infrastructure Repair Program subsidy. So the recipient agreement providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All right, any pleasure of the council?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-05.
Second.
Questions, comments, or concerns?
We need to do a roll call on this one because the part of the documentation submitted by the agency is they want a yea or a nay from each of the individual council members.
All right, Mr. Alford, will you start with it for us?
Alford, yes.
Owens, yes.
Martin Robinson, yes.
Jefferson, yes.
Campbell, yes. And move us on to item E.
All right, discussion possible council action resolution 2026-06.
City Council Resolution number 2026-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Live Oak, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement between Tara Mott as personal representative of the estate of Danny Mott and the City of Live Oak, Florida, providing for conflicts and providing for an effective date.
All right, having heard it read, resolution number 2026-06, to the pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-06.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. This goes straight into a contract with this entity. I have questions about some of the things that's in the contract. And the first thing I want to know is, I think it's, first I want to say, I think it's great that we need space for public works. But we don't have them to renovate that building. How much is it going to cost?
I've got our building department looking at it. We don't have an exact cost at this point, but without the electricity, that's really all it needs is electricity back to. The service was torn down during the storm, or after the storm, by a semi, tore the service off the building. So we're gonna put the service back on the building, and then everything else should hook up. I mean, I have Tony here from the building department. He's been in there looking at it. Gave him the keys to go in to assess everything, so he may be able to put a number on it better than I can.
Is it,
If you'd like him to get his opinion.
yeah, if you'll come up, because I got some questions. Yeah.
I'm the building official, City of Live Oak. It's going to be extremely difficult to give you any kind of hard number, but as Mr. Sessions said, getting power to the building is going to be, fairly significant. What that means, I can't give you a solid answer yet. We are looking at that. As far as the AC system, we won't know until we get power. But from a structural standpoint, next to nothing. It's good to go.
Is it up to code?
Well, that's a tough question. It's up to code, meaning as it sits, there would just be sprucing it up. There's no structural work that needs to be done to that building to bring it up to code. When you say the code, does it have ADA bathrooms and all that? No, but that's something that we would more than likely not need for that type of establishment.
So is it just going to be just an empty building, I mean, just a hull of a building, no offices, no other type of, tell me what the.
We're gonna make the improvements that we need to make to be able to operate, but we also have an agreement with the landlord that any major things we do will come out of the lease. So if we spend a big amount of money, it will come out of the lease for that month or for successive months. It's the understanding that they don't have everything perfect, so that we have to make big improvements, we will take that out of the lease.
I can read the language for you if you want
Read
to.
it for you.
The parties acknowledge that certain repairs need to be performed on the premises, including but not limited to electrical repairs and restoration. Parties agree that lessee, which is the city, will perform the necessary repairs, including electrical repairs and restoration, and lessee shall be entitled to a credit against the monthly rental for all costs associated with said repairs. Lessee shall provide lessor with an itemized description of all repairs made together with the associated costs. Lessee shall be entitled to a credit against monthly rent beginning the month following delivery of the itemized list and cost for said repairs. And so, and then the only other term or blank in the agreement that would have to be decided by the council would be the term.
Do we have a dollar, do you have a dollar amount for the lease?
We originally agreed on 5,000 a month, which was fair back when I bought it up last year.
So if it's 5,000 a month and we go and do all this electrical and all of those things takes off of that 5,000. So that we, because that's a bit, electrical is expensive. Wire is super expensive.
And that's why we wrote the contract like we did.
So what do you have the inside of this building looking like? Because I want to know about like, if you're going to have offices in there, if you're going to have, because it's just like a,
In Public Works, Ms. Ray is the only one really in an office there. So it has bathrooms, and then the back part is going to be used for organization of different departments as far as, you know, meters and things like that. I think we can do a better job of organizing what we have now by having a little bit more space. And there's a lot of the things they can bring over from the existing building for bins and things like that to put in there for this organizational stuff. Because we want to gut the building we're in now, move what's usable to the new building for organizational purposes. And then the glass part would be where the office would be, out front. So if anybody comes up front to them, you just walk in the door and meet the person that you talk to.
Let me ask you a question. Is this the old Chrysler store?
Yes.
Or the Buick?
The old Chrysler store.
Old Chrysler store.
The Buick is the new Skid X building.
Okay. So now, I thought, is Danny Martin deceased or is this
Yes.
in his